In 459 BC, Themistocles, once the pride of Athens, walked the dimly lit halls of his residence in Magnesia, Persia. Exiled from his homeland, he had grown accustomed to life in the Persian court, where he had earned the trust of the powerful King Artaxerxes I. Yet, as he passed the entrance to his private chambers one evening, a peculiar scent caught his attention. Bitter almonds. A chill ran down his spine, but he shrugged it off, assuming it was just his mind playing tricks on him. Unbeknownst to him, this faint odor signaled the beginning of a deadly plot. Themistocles had risen to fame for his brilliant strategy in the Battle of Salamis, which turned the tide of the Greco-Persian Wars. Revered for his wit and courage, he secured Athens' place as a dominant power in Greece. Yet such influence came at a price. Powerful figures in Athens, including the rising star of politics, Cimon, viewed him as a threat. His ambition, once celebrated, began to stir envy and suspicion. His clever manipulation of the Athenian political system made him an enemy of many who coveted his downfall. In a strategic move by his opponents, Themistocles was ostracized from Athens. Stripped of his political power, he fled to Argos, but even there, he could not escape. His enemies in Athens had charged him with treason, claiming he had conspired with Persia's former king, Xerxes I, during the war. Facing possible execution, Themistocles fled again, this time into the arms of his former enemy, Persia. In the Persian Empire, Themistocles made a surprising transformation. Instead of a bitter exile, he became a trusted advisor to King Artaxerxes I. Recognizing the former general's genius, Artaxerxes granted him governance over the city of Magnesia, along with lavish estates and great wealth. It was a stark contrast to his disgraced life in Athens, but the move raised many eyebrows across the Greek world. How could the man who defended Greece from Persia now serve its king? Meanwhile, Themistocles' enemies in Athens watched him closely. Men like Cimon and the increasingly powerful Athenian statesman Pericles harbored deep fears. They believed Themistocles' influence over Artaxerxes could turn Persia against Greece once more, reigniting the threat of Persian invasion. In Athens, rumors swirled. Was Themistocles secretly plotting revenge on the city that betrayed him? Was he working with Artaxerxes to plan an invasion of Greece? Such speculations made him a marked man. Some historians suggest that Pericles himself may have played a role in fanning these rumors, as he sought to consolidate power in Athens. Pericles, brilliant but ruthless, understood that Themistocles, even in exile, remained a potent symbol of Athenian greatness. His death would close that chapter once and for all. Word spread that assassins had been dispatched from Athens to ensure Themistocles could never return to challenge the political order. But Themistocles, always one step ahead, seemed untouchable. He had the favor of the Persian court, a vast fortune, and troops under his command, yet the seeds of betrayal had been sown. As the years passed, Themistocles grew weary of the constant threat looming over his life. He confided in trusted members of his household, among them a Persian officer named Mithridates, who had served Artaxerxes loyally. Mithridates became one of Themistocles' closest allies, advising him on matters of security and diplomacy. But unbeknownst to Themistocles, Mithridates harbored secret ambitions of his own. One evening, Themistocles hosted a banquet in his grand residence. Among the guests were Persian officials, military commanders, and members of the Magnesian elite. The wine flowed freely and the air was thick with political conversation. As the night wore on, Themistocles retired to his private chambers. He poured himself a final cup of wine to reflect on the evening's events. It was then that the faint scent of almonds filled the room again. Themistocles froze. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his stomach, and within moments he was gasping for breath. His attendants rushed in, but it was too late. Themistocles collapsed, writhing in agony. As Themistocles lay dying, his loyal attendants summoned the finest physicians from across Magnesia, but none could save him. Within hours, his condition worsened, and by dawn, he was dead. The city was thrown into chaos. Who had poisoned the great general? Was it an act of revenge from Athens, or was there treachery within the Persian court itself? Some suspected that Mithridates, the trusted Persian officer, had been complicit in the plot. Was he working for Artaxerxes, who may have feared that Themistocles' loyalty to Persia was waning? Or had the assassin been sent from Athens, eager to silence their former leader once and for all? In the aftermath of his death, multiple theories emerged. One held that Themistocles, knowing he could not avoid a conflict between Persia and Greece, took his own life to prevent being used as a pawn in the coming war. Another darker theory was that he had been poisoned by his own Persian allies, fearing he would eventually betray them and return to Athens. Artaxerxes, distraught by the loss of his advisor, ordered an investigation, but no conclusive evidence was ever found. Some whispered that the king himself may have sanctioned the assassination, fearing Themistocles' growing power in the Persian court. Others pointed to a shadowy group of Greek exiles, funded by Athenian nobles, who had long sought Themistocles' demise. The poisoning of Themistocles remains one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient Greek world. His death marked the end of an era, not just for Athens, but for the entire Greek world. The man who once stood as the defender of democracy had died in a foreign land, far from the city he once saved. His enemies in Athens had won, but at what cost? Themistocles' legacy lived on, casting a long shadow over those who had conspired against him. His death became a symbol of the ruthless nature of ancient Greek politics, a world where betrayal, ambition, and power dictated the fates of even the greatest leaders.